Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind a lot recently, and that's what is the future of warfare? Black Ops, especially Black Ops 3, Advanced Warfare, and even Call of Duty Ghosts are all about different versions of future warfare. Each game has kind of a different picture of the future, with Black Ops 3 here being the dark, kind of espionage, cyber terrorism type future, Advanced Warfare focusing more on PMCs and what good technology can do and when that's misused, and Call of Duty Ghost being kind of the antithesis of all of this, of technology being the destruction of all of us. And I don't think the future lies with any of them. If you look at movies, in movies you most often see mech suits, droids, exoskeletons, and some kind of crazier weaponry, and I don't think any of these are correct. Movies use these kind of things, especially mech suits and stuff like that, in order to keep the human element in, to make it dramatic, to seem like titans or gods are fighting, like old stories, because we do gravitate toward these old kind of things. Whereas real warfare is all about practicality and making the other person dead. So that's what we're going to speculate on here today. I would like to point out that I am not a combat veteran, even remotely, not even military for that matter. But what I'm going to be talking about is mostly big picture stuff. I'm going to focus on the technology and the large tactics, not the sort of day-to-day nuances that you would get from actually doing these sort of things. And video games can be very inspiring for this. I remember ages ago I was playing Unreal Tournament, which is a very popular PC game. It takes place in like the year 2800 or something, just hundreds and hundreds of years in the future. And I was playing with a friend of mine. We're playing a game mode called Instagib, where you get these laser rifles that fire really fast. They're very accurate over nearly infinite ranges, and they kill you instantly in one shot. And I remember arguing with this friend, telling him that's not very realistic because real guns do that. And the guy's like, bro, we're 1,000 years in the future. How good do you think our guns are going to be? I think 1,000 years in the future, I would be disappointed if we didn't have guns that shot all the way across any distance and killed people instantly. And I thought and I realized he's completely right. The range of conventional combat has been always increasing since the beginning of time, and I think this is going to continue. Of course, we fought each other with our fists, and then we moved to sticks, and then we moved to swords, and then the spear beat the sword, the bow and arrow beats the spear, the longbow beats the bow and arrow, cannons and guns beat the longbow, and then you have modern rifles and firearms beating that. And even when you look just within firearms, the development, the range, the damage, the deadliness, the kill potential just keeps going up and up and up. Range has gone up drastically. Armies used to have muskets, and they would march at each other, firing at less than 100 yards. It was just crazy, and then it would devolve into combat where you'd have to use bayonets, whereas now something 200 or 300 yards is not considered a difficult shot at all. It's very common for these kind of rifles, and I think that's going to continue in the future. I think you're going to see our weapons tend upward in range and accuracy until almost every army and every person is equipped to what we would most likely consider today to be a super weapon. Today, they would probably seem like sniper rifles. They would be very high powered, very long range, very accurate, and I hope very reliable, though anytime you increase complexity, reliability goes down, which is why the AK series is still so popular, because it's very simple and, you know, it has a tendency to not fail. So the rules of boots on the ground combat, or normal, what we'll call actual human being combat, are going to look very different in the future. Probably going to look almost alien, or more like sniper battles to us. Kind of strange. But when you have combat in this matter, the game changes very dramatically. And I say game because I'm treating it like a game, as in game theory, not trying to disrespect the people that do that. But it's not necessarily about good aim, and that's even true now. Good aim is fantastic, but I think what wins gunfights is good positioning and good intel, knowing where your enemy is, knowing where is the best place to position them, engage them, what they're most likely to do, the predictive factors, all that kind of stuff. Good decisions and good intel are going to beat good aim every single time. Even with terrible guns, if you had all the best intel, you could make it work. And you're definitely kind of seeing this already. That's what our soldiers rely on. They rely on very good intel overseas. They rely on drones. Some of them even deploy their own drones. They have these crazy little backpack drones that you just kind of like one-offs you can throw and use to spy on enemy. Very, very effective, and in an odd kind of way, it follows the pattern from before. If you think about before, good intel obviously won wars and won battles, but it was very large scale, like where is the giant army marching to, what are they going to do, whereas now it's typically much smaller engagements. You don't find those giant, like 100,000 man kind of battles and stuff going. Obviously, we haven't had a world war in a while, which is good, but that's just not how modern combat works. It's very tactical, very specific, very focused, one-on-one objectives, that kind of thing. And I like to think about it as kind of like micromanaging troops in StarCraft. If you are a noob at the game, you'll hit Control A or just, select all of this type of unit and move them in one big wave. But when you get better and better at it, your actions per second goes up, the amount of good intel you have goes up, and you're able to kind of tell each troop what to do and who to attack and what objective to take and how that kind of changes the meta and the flow of the game. And it's a very similar thing with Modern Warfare in that decision. And good intel is where it's all going to be about. One interesting thing that I do think is going to be part of the future, if you saw Metal Gear Solid 4, which is a PlayStation 3 game, the soldiers had this crazy, I think they had called it nanotechnology or something, or cyber, like a direct neural interface, just like in Black Ops 3, where they could each see through each other's eyes. So whatever one person saw, he didn't have to call it out, he didn't have to say it, he didn't have to explain it. All the other people were able to automatically see it, and I think that's definitely going to be part of a future. Multiple inputs, definitely multiple screens, that kind of stuff is all going to be automated because it works so very, very well. And we spent all this time talking about boots on the ground, but at the end of the day, I don't think boots on the ground is going to be very important for at least in actual combat in the coming future. You're always going to have boots on the ground, at least as the final step. That's kind of like, we're here, we won, this is ours, we're moving in kind of deal, even if symbolic victory only. But I think you're going to see more and more drones, because drones are super efficient in what they do. They kill with deadly efficiency, and we can manufacture them. They can also strike from unseen places. That's kind of what makes drones very dangerous as is. A drone can be 1,000 miles overhead targeting you. It can even shoot, and a bomb is on its way to blow you up, and you have no idea. You're just sitting there minding your own business, and kaboom, you're dead. There's no warning. There's no indication. There's nothing you can do about it. Even if you got a warning or an indication, there's nothing you can do about it. Our weapons tend to be like that way. Even you just get nuked from ranges you can't even see these people at. And that's talking about aerial drones. Aerial drones are really cool. They're really expensive. They work really well. We all know that. But I think you're going to get to see more and more on the ground drones in the future. And when I say that, I don't mean like walking robots, like androids, kind of like Chappie or anything. I believe what you're going to start seeing is more, we'll say, unusual shaped robots. You're going to see little swimmer fish that used to go swim up beside submarines and kind of blow them up. You're going to see little flies and bugs that buzz around and are spying on people. You're going to see some with crazy shapes that come in and out of sewers or kind of fly like bats. Just shapes I probably couldn't even predict, because you can kind of generate these on a computer algorithm, because you're looking at the most efficient shape to do a job. We often kind of pull these from nature or generate them. You're not going to see like robo-dogs and robo-humans. You're going to see really, really weird, scary, alien-type enemies that you would see something kind of like on the, what's a good example? Like the Aeon Flux anime. Fantastic example of strange-looking shapes that serve a very specific purpose. I think that's what you're going to see. And these things are going to be savage in efficiency. They're going to be brutally scary, because when you design something, you don't have to obey the laws of nature. It doesn't have to have a head with a chip in the head and eyes and sensors all in one spot. You can build something with 14 eyes and 10 different sensors and senses that we don't even have, to quadruple or septuple our reaction time, 10 times the strength, agility, intelligence. It can micromanage, it can deal without limbs, it can do all kinds of crazy, crazy stuff. And I think that's going to be the future of this, so to speak, on-the-ground combat. That's going to be in the far future. That's not 10, 15, that's more like 50 to 100 years away. We have issues right now with power supplies. Our robots can't balance very well because they can't feel the ground that they're walking on in quite the same way that we do. But if we get some good algorithms, especially good balance algorithms and some nice power supplies, we're going to be able to do some really, really crazy stuff in the future. Lastly, I want to talk about the war that you might not even know is going on right now, and that is cyber warfare. Right now, that's kind of in the background of everything. We use it for espionage and not so much actually hurting people. But in the future, I think cyber warfare is going to be the most important part of warfare, more than any of this combat stuff we've talked about. And that is because cyber warfare can completely shut a country down. If you think about how dependent we are on computers for absolutely everything. If you're using a computing device right now to watch this video, we do our banking on computers. We do our science, our number crunching on computers. We do for engineering, we used to do finite element analysis. We can do it on a computer in 30 seconds. What you used to have 200 people in an office crunching matrices for a week to answer one question to do. That kind of efficiency is crazy. It's good. It's the backbone of modern society. But when we shut that down, we can't do anything. Our public records are gone. We can't process paperwork because that's all going digital. We can't get our money out of the banks. We can't do transactions. We can't figure out how all these these machines. A lot of these machines don't even work manually anymore. So screwing this up screws up our entire society, and you can kind of look at this as a dependency on technology, but if we didn't have this, we wouldn't be able to compete with any country for anything. We'd all basically be in the Stone Ages if we didn't have technology, so we have to have it. But hacking this or keeping this secure is going to be the #1 priority for keeping our country running, and you're going to see more and more Die Hard style fire sale attacks, which I admit in that movie was crazy, and you can't hack a power plant and make it blow up, but you can take it offline. You can shut it down, depending on how it's built. You can shut down banks, you can shut down trading, you can shut down production, you can steal information, you can out spies, you could even hack into like a military engineering firm, like designing tanks, and change one design so that so they now design tanks with flaws. You can do crazy stuff, and this is going to be the war that you don't even know is happening. All of this is going to go on in the background, and you just won't have a clue because you won't be a part of it. And that's what I think about the real future of warfare. Big picture topics, not talking about the scary stuff or the people that get hurt or that kind of thing, but just tactics. I treat it like a game theory. It helps me think about it analytically. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.